In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Guess I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Karen, she's a silver sun. You best walk her away and watch it shining. Watch her watch the morning come. A silver tear appearing now. I'm crying, ain't I? Gone to Carolina in my mind. There ain't no doubt in no one's mind that love's the finest thing around. Whisper something soft and kind. And hey babe, the sky's on fire. I'm dying, ain't I? I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Dark and silent late last night, I think I might have heard the highway calling. Geese in flight and dogs that bite. The signs that might be omens say I'm going, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. With a holy host of others standing around me, still I'm on the dark side of the moon. And it seems like it goes on like this forever. You must forgive me if I'm up and gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Gone to Carolina in my mind. And I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Gone to Carolina in my mind. Gone, I'm gone. Say nice things.
Is this thing on? Am I muted? Welcome everybody. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Well, good morning everybody, or afternoon or evening for those of you in the UK. If you guys have any technical issues or questions, feel free to unmute yourself and say anything at any time, or pop a message in the chat and we'll keep an eye on that and help you guys out. I'm going to keep an eye on the waiting room too and make sure people can continue to join. We've got a bunch of family here. Just turning everybody's cameras on now so I can see lots of familiar faces and new faces. Jesse, you want to help kick us off a little bit? You're ready?
I figured the first thing we can do to get things started off with is to have the family introduce themselves. Um, whether you may know me or not, my name is Jesse, and I was Steve's son and his youngest child out of all of the children. The presenter, of course, is my sister Christine. She was my father's middle child, and she has been wonderful at setting all of this up. So please give a real thank you to Christine for setting all of this up. She's been great with this. Becky, if you'd like to go next.
My name is Becky. I'm Steve's second youngest child, and this is my daughter, Lily, his youngest grandchild. If Faye wants to say anything, if you're there.
Sure, I'm here. Hi guys, I'm Faye. I am Steve's eldest child, and I am here with my daughter, who's in the box next to Jesse, Giselle Guzman, who is Steve's granddaughter.
Okay, great. And I've got, my mom is on here with us too, Steve's second wife, and some other family and friends. And so I think we're about ready to jump on in. Let me get the presentation pulled back up. And continue screen sharing. Am I screen sharing? Can you guys see my screen? Maybe.
Not yet.
Not yet. Let me set it back up. All right. Maybe if I can use technology. Aha, there we go. Everybody can see now. Yes. So we're here in memory of my dad, Steve Borchert. Thank you all for being here. I know some of you are joining from across the world. Faye sent this picture to me last night and I just loved it. And if anybody knows my brother, Jesse, you know, he poses in just about every single picture in the exact same way. And I couldn't help but laugh. We went through a lot of our family who is here today, Faye and her sister Rita, who's on the call with us today. And then we've got Becky, Jesse, and Christine, his Texas kids. And then my sister Sarah, who is his stepdaughter, and she is from Texas, but currently in Arkansas. We have his grandkids from Wisconsin, Andre, Giselle, Alex, and Devin. And you guys got to meet Lily too, here from Texas. And then his step grandkids, Jacob and Julia, who are also in Arkansas right now. And my dad had a younger brother, Scott, who passed away a few years ago. His first wife, Jean, I don't think could make it on the call today. And my mom, Sandy, is on with us. Dad's parents were Don and Betty, and they are also deceased. So he is in good company with his whole family. Mary, his stepmother, may or may not be joining us this morning. And then we wanted to represent his grandparents, Carl and Olga. And that picture there on the right, that's my dad there in the middle wearing a t-shirt that says, "I love grandma," which is pretty adorable. And then of course we have the open group family, the work family, I feel like was just as important to him as the rest of us. So I wanted to include you guys as part of his family. And you guys have been truly wonderful. For those of you who are on today from the open group, I just have to give you guys a shout out for all of the support. You guys have really shown us that you guys, loved him as much as we love him, and bringing us tacos and checking in on us, daily. you know, has just, you guys have just been a wonderful support system for us, and I'm so glad you guys are here. Wanted to go through a few of Steve's favorite things. A good way to get started is travel and the outdoors. I think everybody knows Dad was a big traveler for work and for fun. And so Faye sent these pictures in last night. She has all these old goodies. I don't know if Faye knows anything about any of these pictures, but I just had to giggle quite a bit at these.
Well, Dad always talked about how he loved cross-country skiing. That was his big thing. Loved to do it when he was in Wisconsin, and did it with just about anyone he could find to do it with him.
Yeah, and I think we found, didn't we find, I don't know if they're those skis. Did anybody open the skis that we found in his garage?
I did.
It's not the same ones, is it?
I don't think so, no.
But yeah, we've definitely found skis in his garage. Trying to let somebody. Okay.
I'm sure he hasn't gone skiing in 30 years, but he still got them.
Well, you know, I mean, he would ski up at the lodge, you know, in Wisconsin from time to time. But that was probably 20 years ago. You know, he loved California and all the places. I think, what is that, a picture of my mom and him on horseback riding, and he loved the desert. He loved Arizona, New Mexico, any hot springs. So the picture in the middle on the bottom row, he has been showing us this same picture for the last 6 months, just dreaming of going back to that spot. I know he was showing Lily and talking to her about the mountains there and what all you could see from that hot spring. And he was very, very, very excited to go back there again. But he loved the desert and the hot springs. So I just wanted to share that little video from Top Golf a couple of years ago. He loved being outside. And having to do with travel, you know, I wanted to share, I think, Jim, you're on the call, and, you know, I hate to put you on the spot and call you out, but I really liked the message, you know, part of the message that you wrote, and I wanted to share with the group. You know, you had said, as a colleague and employee, Steve was someone who unfailingly did his job. He didn't need a lot of direction. He worked hard at it, and he was very good at it. He was also highly regarded by our staff, both as a contributor and as a person. Steve and I shared a lot of trips, meals, and work experiences. We were both classic rock and fishing fans, and would frequently compare notes on our playlists and favorite fishing spots. We both had similar backgrounds in sales and business development, working for startups, and both being from the upper Midwest, we had a lot in common and shared the same worldview. I really appreciated his wry sense of humor, his ability to find the humor amidst sometimes challenging situations. Steve, you'll be missed. And anyone feel free to chime in anytime if you'd like to. Otherwise, I'll just keep us rolling. Hang on 1 second. So music, music was a huge part of Dad's life. I think everybody knows that. Sorry, I'm getting texts from people who are trying to join the meeting.
Yeah, just about anywhere Dad could go or would go, he would try to find some sort of show to go to, some sort of concerts, any sort of indie, anything, everywhere. That was his big life passion. He would go see from the biggest bands to one of his favorite unknown groups was this group called Duck Soup that he first saw while at the restaurant Threadgills here in Austin. Just on an outdoor patio, there's like this huge, it's like a huge band with like 20 saxophone type instruments, and that's what he lived for. That's no matter where he went or what he was doing, he'd always try to find some sort of show or group to go to.
Yeah, whether we liked it or not. He dragged me to Lukenbach probably 15 years ago, and I could not stand it. But he loved Lukenbach, Texas, like the song, and I had no idea what he was talking about. But he just loved taking everybody on his musical adventures, and I think a lot of you who've worked with him over the years have experienced that as well, because he loved going to any kind of music venue and discovering new artists anywhere he was traveling.
Yeah, he actually bought me like my first, my second guitar. It's actually one of my favorites. Like now it's great. I love playing with it. It was the best. He took me to the music store and we got to pick it out, and it's so cool. It was great.
This is something, again, was sent in from the open group, and I just had to share it because I had not seen this. I think my siblings had seen this picture before, but I had not. And I just loved James's note here. He said, as Steve told us back in January 2017, before the all-staff meeting at Tinley Hall, if I'm saying that correctly, he worked his way through university as a folk musician, and picture proof is below. Sorry, Steve. But I love this picture. He's such a dork. He said, I'll remember Steve as an unfailingly polite gentleman. There was never any hint of frustration, rudeness, or short temper in any of his communications with me or my team. A polite gentleman, then, as we all should strive to be, but also one with a genuine passion for his job. Whenever we met up, lastly in San Antonio in January, he never missed the opportunity over a beer to spend time telling me what he was doing and how great it all was. But of course, he always politely asked me if I had time to talk first. It was a pleasure to have known you, Steve, from James. And that was a sentiment that I've heard actually quite a bit, is what a gentleman people remember him to be, which I think is pretty cool. That was a great video that Faye sent. Faye, do you know, was that on one of his visits with you guys?
Yeah, that was in 2016. So he would usually try to come and visit us at least once a year in the fall or summer, never when it was cold. We used to give him a lot of crap about that because he was from Wisconsin, but anything below 50 degrees was too cold. So he would usually try to come in the fall. But yeah, we had gone to a restaurant and had a nice dinner, and there was some gentleman playing guitar in the kind of the front patio area, and we listened for a bit, and inevitably so do you play questions came up, and of course he said he did, and so they invited him to kind of jam with them for a little bit and gave them one of his guitars, and so this is kind of what he played, so I took a little video of it. It's a very nice memory. It was a fun time.
I'm so glad you did, because I know we've talked a lot about just kind of taking it for granted, the fact that he played guitar and sang all the time. My sister Sarah and I remember that, when we were real little, we didn't get bedtime stories so much as we got bedtime songs. Dad would bring his guitar into the room and we'd sing songs and, read poems and stuff. So, music was such a part of who he was as a person that, I just didn't really even think to record him singing and playing, because he was just part of who he was, like recording him eating his breakfast. You wouldn't do that either. So I'm so glad to say that you took this video.
It was a definitely spontaneous moment. That was
Yeah,
really
that's so cool. Along with music, I loved this note from Bridget, someone on LinkedIn, someone who used to work with him. She said, "One of my fondest memories was going out to the live music venue Prohibition in San Diego. It was one of those fun, yes, late nights, drinking cocktails, listening to great live music, and Steve sharing stories about his music career. I always asked his advice on EA related things, and he always obliged. He'll be missed. Sorry for your loss." And yes, my dad was notorious for always wanting to stay up late, one more drink, one more minute, 30 more minutes, until suddenly it was 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And that is definitely something that I've inherited from him, and I think my siblings have to a great degree as well. With that, he loves spending time with family. We didn't get to do much of that this year with COVID. I did not physically get to see him in 2020, but we spent almost every single day on video chat, at least, for a few minutes a day. And so I just am so thankful that we have the technology to be able to do that. But I think this picture on the left was Christmas this last year, probably the last time we got to visit in person. And Faye, this picture you sent in the middle with Dad in this Han Solo vest thing he's got going on here is priceless. And then that's Giselle, his granddaughter, there on the right. Looks like maybe getting some pizza. A few more pictures of some of our times together. That's Faye there on the left, and in the middle, my boyfriend hosted a crawfish boil. Was that last summer? Was that 2 summers ago? 2 summers ago. And Dad came up just for the crawfish boil. Picture on the right on the top is from the lodge up in Wisconsin that my grandmother owned and ran, and we had a lot of good times up there. And bottom left is all of us visiting Dad and Jesse at his hotel in Austin, and Giselle and Alex with Dad, I think a couple of years ago. That was fairly recently, I think. Right, Faye and Giselle? And then this last picture is actually from Topgolf, from that clip that I showed you guys of him taking a swing.
Reindeer poop.
Rest in poop.
Reindeer poop.
What stinky poop?
So we just loved spending time together, and he was always up for a good time. And those are just a couple. I found that video of him throwing a baseball with his dad out in the yard in Wisconsin. And Jesse, you said you didn't know he could. Well, I think last night you said you didn't know he could throw a football, which I had to laugh because it's not a football. I'm not big sports people. But working and networking was also a huge part of his life. He's definitely a work hard, play hard kind of guy, takes work a little too seriously. Debbie told me he was not very good at taking PTO, and I am not either, but he absolutely loved it. And, I'm just so glad, after I know he works so hard and takes his job so seriously, and it just makes me feel so warm to know that, that the hard work he was putting in and the passion he had for what he did really came through, and that, you guys were able to see that and appreciate that of him. And, if there's anything that you guys want to add about working with him. You guys are welcome to chime in, but these are some photos that the open group sent me, as well as I think a couple that he took that I found in his phone from recent trips. I loved his coworker Meryl sent in this great note. She said, I lost a colleague and a friend, and I will miss our very frequent, if not too many calls. Steve B, which I'm assuming is his handle, got a few minutes? Sure, anytime for you, was repeated so many times in our Skype history. And the last was Thursday, was the day that he collapsed, bidding me, in case I don't speak to you before then, have a good Labor Day weekend. I didn't know later that night would be the beginning of the end of your journey here. A well-lived life and gone too soon. Thanks for sharing and trusting me with your views. You've literally taken mine with you. Always remembered. Rest in peace, Steve. So I thought that was really sweet. Meryl, I'm not sure what you guys talked about, but your secrets are definitely safe with him. And it sounds like you guys had shared some fun conversations.
We absolutely did, and I'm still not sharing them. We had a lot of fun. You know, we mixed the business calls with personal stuff, and we got to know a lot of each other during those calls, and I really do miss them.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you for sending in that note. It's so sweet. Another sweet note on LinkedIn was from someone who used to work for him. She says, Steve was my boss at Invenio, and he was simply wonderful. I loved his sense of humor, kindness, and hard work. He was a giant among men and made every day a joy to come to work. My heart goes out to his family and friends. I hope he knew how much he meant to us. I hope he knew that too. You know, he didn't talk a lot about himself or his work. He was maybe too good about making sure that us kids felt like we were the only people in the entire world to him. So, you know, unfortunately we didn't know a whole lot about his other friends and coworkers out there, but he just had that way about him that he knew how to make people feel special. He's also a fan of great food and fancy cocktails. Artisan gins and bourbons and whiskeys, and I don't think he ever missed a happy hour. I know I've got some friends on the call with us today who started a Monday night happy hour with friends, and of course I invited my dad as one of my best friends. I wanted him to be on our Monday night friend happy hour, and we really enjoyed those chats as well, talking about business and fun stuff. And these are all pictures that Dad took that I found in his phone. The one on the left is from his patio at his apartment. The one on the right, I have no idea, some restaurant, I'm sure. And Jesse can tell us more about the one in the middle.
Yeah, the one in the middle is kind of was one of the last trips that we took together, if not the last trip, really. It was in one of his favorite places, somewhere he's always wanted me to take me, was a place called Ojo Caliente in New Mexico. And it's a hot springs, very beautiful, very nice. We kept talking that we were going to go back again this year, but so we bought this really nice bottle of Jameson Black Label because we just thought it would be nice to be able to sit back and enjoy and have a drink one night. And it never got cold enough really to warrant like making a fire and hanging out. So what we did was we opened up every window, every door, turned on the fan, turned on the AC. It was still like 65 degrees outside, and we just made it as cold as we possibly can to justify keeping a fire going all night long and staying up until this bottle was finished.
It sounds exactly like something you guys would do. And I hadn't heard that story before either.
It was definitely one of my favorite times.
So I found a few pictures that he took. He loves sushi. So you've got here on the left some flaming sushi packs and wine, flights of wine samples. That was something he and I used to do from time to time, as always tried the flights. The middle picture on the bottom is his birthday lunch or dinner last year. Jesse, I think you said you guys went.
He was either last year or the year before.
Definitely last year.
Yeah, last year. There's this great restaurant here in Austin. I'm sure maybe Mike or Brent knows that one of Dad's favorite restaurants here is a place called Quality Seafood Market. And there's, again, going back to music, there's this, I think it's on like Monday nights or something. There's a band there that plays like old ragtime jazz music, and they're called the Sweet Baby Jazz Ray something. It's like 9 words. It's just a jumble of mess. And that's one of his favorite things to do. Was we were trying to do that like at least once a month, and we ended up being able to do it on his birthday.
Yeah,
he loved that, Jesse, and talked about it often.
Oh, that's cool that you knew about that too. And I love this picture, Faye, that you sent me on the top right of him eating this, looks like a slice of watermelon or something. That is one of the coolest pictures.
Yeah.
And so many more things he loved. Most people know he loved cool technology. He just bought that huge, what is it, like a 42-inch wide something monitor like a month ago. He just bought that middle of August. He was debating, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? And he's like, oh, I spend so much time at this desk in front of these computers. He's like, I'm going to do it. And he finally did it. And he was so proud of it. And I found like 8 pictures of it in his phone because he was so excited. Also Saturday Night Live, you know, I don't know if Becky wants to say anything about that, but that was a big tradition for them. Dad said that he never missed a single episode of SNL live.
Never did. I grew up watching SNL with him, and yeah, that was kind of our thing.
We get it on YouTube in the UK.
So 30 years, he never missed an episode. And we actually watched the first virtual episode that SNL did this year. We watched it together over Google Hangouts. We all like kind of muted ourselves and watched it live together so we could do that. And that was probably the first time I think I've watched SNL with him. So it was really special to get to do that with him and with Becky. Hot tubs. Oh my gosh. Hot tubs. Hot tub anywhere, anytime. That's a picture of us enjoying the hot tub. He was a happy camper. Especially the colder outside, the better. I remember as a kid, we had a hot tub at the pool in Texas. And I remember one year in Texas, it snowed or frosted or something, iced. And I remember walking out to the hot tub with Dad in our bare feet in whatever version of Texas snow we had that year, just to go get in the hot tub. And so that is still a favorite activity of mine. Any place I can find a hot tub on the patio and the weather's cold is always a happy place for me. And of course, being outside, outdoors with family, again, there with Jesse outside enjoying some sun.
It didn't even have to be cold, honestly. If he could find a hot tub anywhere, he didn't care if it was, 90 degrees outside. He'd just want to sit in a hot tub and, have a nice cocktail and sit and watch people while sitting in a hot tub.
And I think he did like almost every time he traveled too. I think if the hotel had a hot tub, he'd go find it.
Yep.
And sleeping. He loves sleeping. I inherited that from him. He's been telling me for months now that he's a 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. schedule guy. And those 7 a.m. conference calls, international conference calls at the open group, boy, were those rough. He did not love those.
His favorite part about working from home with the open group, a joke he always made, which honestly wasn't even a joke half the time, was that he loved working at home because, well, he would sit there and he'd go, well, I've got, an hour or two for lunch and I can always eat at my desk whenever I want, so I'm just going to go take a nap.
And he said he did. I'm not sure if he ever actually did, but yeah, anytime he could sleep, and he would sleep in, he'd be in town hanging out, and, I'd say, hey, you want to, meet up for coffee in the morning? And he'd say, sure. How about 1 o'clock? And I'm like, 1 o'clock in the afternoon is hardly coffee in the morning, but okay. Because either he wanted to sleep or he was going to be on his bike and be bike riding in the morning. And so he wasn't going to do anything until he was done with his bike ride. Sleep was super, super important to him, which is strange considering how late he would stay up partying and drinking and listening to music. Maybe that's why he needed sleep so much. And then his comfy shoes. I found this picture that he took of his own shoes, and I don't know why he took this picture of his shoes, but he just always wore these black, super comfy looking sneakers with everything, casual outfits, business outfits. I know he had nice shoes, but these were his favorites. And he just, despite how much he loves fashion, and you see through some of these pictures and more, that he absolutely loved being fashionable and wearing great things, and liked the feel of expensive textures and stuff. And yet these were his favorite shoes, which I think is pretty funny. I liked this note from Judy at the open group too. She said, I was very sad to hear of Steve's sudden illness and passing. Steve had been such an integral part of the open group team, a true professional and a gentleman again. He will be greatly missed. While I only worked closely with Steve for the past 2 years or so, I'm so grateful I had the opportunity. I will remember his laughter and enthusiasm and his great radio DJ voice that always conveyed a positive message and good news to both staff and members. I love that, the radio DJ voice. He was super proud of that. And I've been finding recordings of him here and there that I love listening to. So if anybody, wants to add anything else, I know we've told a few stories so far. I've got a video that we're going to show next, just kind of a slideshow of pictures that I haven't shown you yet. And that'll be kind of the last thing that we do to wrap up. So if anybody wants to say anything, you are welcome to now.
Oh, hi, I'm Sue Harper. I'm from the Open Group. I've worked with Steve for 4 years. One thing I want to tell you about his shoes, he loved those shoes because he and I had we talked about his knees all the time. I was always after him to get his knees replaced. Those are the shoes that helped him walk, and was always walking at every single meeting. And he loved those shoes. He talked about his shoes all the time. So that's why he took a picture of his shoes. But he was a great man. I'm going to miss him so much.
Anybody else have any stories they want to share? Any just anecdotes or anything?
So one of my favorite things to do with him was always when he would come down from Austin to in the areas we live, he would never miss out on a sushi trip. Like every time, he would always want to take me to go get sushi. Like that was one of our favorite things to do together. Like we would go. It didn't matter. We would always want to go we would look at the ratings and try to find the best place, and then we go and we'd sit there and just get everything. It would just be like a big family meal. We'd all just all eat sushi, and it was great. That was one of my favorite things to do. with him and go on bike rides. I loved going on bike rides with him. That was the best.
And I know Lily's been learning how to play the guitar, and my niece Julia, my sister Sarah's daughter, has been wanting to learn how to play the guitar while her brother's learning the piano. And so I thought, you know, it's never too late, and I wish I had done it a long time ago too. But now that we have, you know, dad's guitars, and they mean so much to us, I think I'm gonna start to learn too. So I think it'd be a lot of fun for me and Lily and Juliet all to learn together, and maybe we can learn at least how to play a couple Christmas songs together this year, which I think would be really special. And should have done it sooner, but it's never too late. Anybody else want to chime in with anything before I show you guys our little video?
This is Mike Hickey, his colleague at the Open Group and also a fellow Austinite. And I could go on and on because I traveled so much with Steve in the last 4 years in particular, and shared a lot of time with him. And we talked throughout each day, I believe, for about the last 4 years. But I'll just say that hearing that about him not being a morning person, we were the exact opposite. So I was a morning person, but I always wanted to get to bed early when we were traveling together. And whether traveling or not, he'd send me emails at 11 p.m., 12, midnight afterwards. But trying to get him to our booth at a trade show or something by an 8 or 9, even 9 a.m. start was just not easy, but it was always fun.
You're so right. And I think every time we'd hang up from our video chats, it would be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. He'd always say the same thing. Oh, I got 2 more emails I got to send tonight. So I got to sign off, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
It was, 10 o'clock at night, 9:30 that night he was here on Thursday. And that's what he was doing. I was like, go eat. And he was like, I got to finish this thing. I was just, I got to send 2 more emails and finish up this thing. And like, I made food, go eat. That was always his, doesn't matter how late at night it was, always had 1 or 2 more emails to send.
Always. I have the same curse. And I'm going to super miss talking to him about that because, a lot of people have great work ethic and, really care about their work. But there was something Dad and we just knew, and I could say a few words about something, and he and I were just so in sync and on the same page about our commitment to work and our passion about loving what we do. And I'm really going to miss the way we understood each other in that way. And that there's always 1 or 2 more emails you got to send before you can do anything else. Anybody else want to share anything?
I just want to say that I think it's hilarious that you spoke of how he was always one more drink, 1 more this, because I think that came back to bite him, because all of y'all are the same way. Every one of his kids are always like, no, just 1 more game. I'm like, y'all, it's 1:30 in the morning. You're like, 1 more game. But the thing is, you would do it to him too. And I think he loved that he just rubbed off on y'all in that same way. Just like, 1 more, come on, just 1 more game.
Yeah, Sarah got to play lots of Jackbox games with us. She would find herself up late, bored, quarantined, and I'd be like, well, we're going to play Jackbox. It's 10:15. We're just about to start to play. And she's like, all right, I'll hop over with you guys. So she got to enjoy a few game nights with us.
And this is Chris Parnell, one of his UK colleagues. And I have many fond memories of wining and dining in various places with Steve. And of course, as the evening passed, we managed to solve all the world's problems. The only problem was the next day we could remember one of them. But always good to company then.
I love that.
So this is Jim from the Open Group. You know, it was my privilege to have Steve work for me for the last 4 or 5 years, and I just want to say from the staff that we really appreciated having him with us, doing what he did. I think it should also be pretty obvious from all the notes that staff wrote how deeply he affected different parts of the organization. And also, it's interesting that we have not just his fellow employees on the call, but even some former staff members, as well as some of our members. He had a real effect on a lot of them, helped bring them into the Open Group and get them situated with what we do. And he was really good at what he did. He was just a pleasure to work with. He'll be missed.
I just want to go ahead and say to Jim and all his Open Group colleagues and friends, just thank you so much. He absolutely loved his job. He has said on multiple, every day he would say that the Open Group was his, not only was it the best job that he has ever had, it's the only job he wants to continue to ever have, and that he works with some of the best people he's ever worked with in his entire life, and not only as colleagues, as friends, as, you know, people who, you know, the CEO and the company, and Jim, you, his boss, the best boss he's ever had. When COVID started, and, you know, everyone was getting laid off of everywhere for every reason. His biggest fear was losing his job at the Open Group, not because of the money, not because of, you know, just losing his job, but because he didn't want to be not part of the Open Group anymore. He didn't want to not be part of the community and the friends that he had made with you guys, because that was more important to him than anything else. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done, and for just being
a wonderful work family.
Yeah, thank you, Christine, for just being the best work family that he's ever had. That was very important to him.
Yeah, I remember when he first got this job, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know the name of the company or anything. I just remember he had gotten this job, and the way he talked about it, you know, he didn't talk a lot about his job or what he did, but I remember early on people, you know, they'd ask me, what does your dad do? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes to conferences now, and he gets to just like schmooze people and wheel and deal and make deal, like bring people together. Oh, you should talk to Jim, you should talk to Bob, you should talk to this, you know, like, I was like, it sounds like he finally found the perfect job for him. And I have no idea what it is that he's doing, but like, it sounds like exactly what he's always wanted. And so, yeah, just to echo Jesse's sentiment, you guys really have been such a huge part of his family. And I'm sorry that we're just now getting to meet most of you guys. I know, I hope we can continue to be part of your family in some way, because you guys have just been wonderful people, and he just loved you guys so much. Anybody else before I switch over to video?
Oops, I think I would like to add something. I've worked with Steve for quite a number of years, and one of the things, we're in different parts of the company, but Steve and I would get together. We had this one insufferable characteristic, is that we were extremely proud of our daughters, and I have a younger one and his were older, so we would get together and brag to each other, so we didn't have to torture everyone else with our pride. And he used to give me instructions on what it was that I should expect as mine grew older, and would tell me everything about all the experiences that he had with his own. And in there was just a tremendous amount of love that came out of it. And I will miss my bragging buddy.
Anybody else? All right. Well, we'll still have a few minutes after the video. We're running a little later than I thought we would, but that's okay. But if anybody needs to hop off, I know you guys have meetings and other things you may need to go do. So I understand if you guys need to sign off. I am recording this so that I can post it later for anybody who didn't get to stay the whole time or come at all. So I'm going to show this video. Jesse said that Dad picked out this song. He had said that he wanted this was his funeral song. He wanted this at his funeral. And we also know Dad never really wanted like a big formal funeral. I think even without a global pandemic, he would have loved having his memorial service over Zoom rather than in, you know, some kind of funeral home or something. So, but we did want to, you know, honor his choice of song. And so I put together a little video with some pictures you guys haven't seen yet. And I'll show that to you guys and then we'll wrap up. So let me get my screen share turned back on.
Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. When you get up in the morning and you see that crazy sun, keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving nightly called when all is said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts, take me to your dreams, touch me as I fall into view. And when the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Engine drivers headed north to Pleasant Stream. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while.
Okay. I'm all choked up now. So I know some people have wanted to know how to reach out, you know, send sympathy cards and things like that. And I wanted to put this up on the screen. We started a page at gatheringus.com for him. And if you go to gatheringus.com and just search Steve Borchert, his page will come up, and it will allow you to upload photos and write messages, and give memorial donations. In lieu of flowers, you know, we would, I'd like to thank the open group and Debbie for asking where to make donations in his memory. And it was pretty unanimous. When I asked my siblings separately, everyone independently said, I think Rails to Trails. I think he that's the only thing we, you know, that he really talked about a lot. And for those of you who may not know, he was an avid biker, loved to ride the best trails in every city. And even the 100-degree Texas summer heat never stopped him, even though I begged him not to go for these 20-mile bike rides when it was 103 degrees outside. But he's like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then he'd come back and go, yeah, maybe that was a bad idea. But he loved it. And even needing both of his knees replaced, you know, his favorite place was to be on his bike in nature. And he would say that his knees didn't hurt when he was bike riding. So, you know, in lieu of flowers or anything, and if my siblings have other thoughts, you know, that's okay. But, you know, we would ask if you make a donation instead to Rails to Trails. They are a nonprofit that work across the country to turn old railroad lines into bike and walking trails to try to connect trails across the country, which is a pretty cool effort that he really supported. So we'll get wrapped up here with a toast to Steve. I didn't make myself a drink like I had planned to. For us, it's only noon here in Texas, and it may be perfect happy hour time for those of you in the UK. But you know, I found this quote by Irving Berlin, who's a songwriter and composer, that said that the song is ended, but the melody lingers on. And I'm gonna cry. So with that, I'll also leave you with Dad's advice for life, which he would tell me all the time. We even talked on the phone about it Wednesday night before his collapse. He said, "You remember my advice, right?" And I said, "Of course. Always have a plan. Be ready to change that plan, and never be afraid to ask for help." And so with that, if you have a drink or water or anything, I'd just like to toast to Steve.
To Steve.
So thank you guys for joining today.
Thank you everybody for being here.
Yeah, thank you everyone, friends, family, co-workers, and everything in between. Thank you so much for being here with us and all the support and love you've given.
Oh, sorry, I can't see my screen anymore. But I think I got this done. Okay. Yes, thank you everyone for being here. Yes, feel free to message on that board. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I know I've connected with several of you already. You can email to my name, ChristineLittlefield@gmail.com. the open group has my email address if you need to reach out for anything. And just love you guys, and thank you for being here.
Christina, it was a true pleasure knowing Steve, and we'd have to schedule another call just for all the stories that I have over the past few years since meeting Steve about 10 years ago. So,
Wow.
so many memories, so many good times. But I appreciate you letting me join and participate.
Thank you. I'd love to hear all the stories. If anybody has anything else, I mean, we're gonna love to hear stories and memories for a long time. So yeah, if anybody's in the Texas area and wants to get together for happy hour, please reach out. And if you want to send anything into us, or if anybody missed the call and just wants to get on and swap stories, I'm happy to, of course, get on another Zoom call with anybody who, wants to, to talk a little bit more. But yeah, any other last thoughts before we sign off?
So real quick, before we go, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we have really appreciated getting to know your dad more through our Monday happy hour calls. I think the first time I met him was actually at the House of Blues to support you. And he was so proud of his children. So yeah, I know we didn't get to know him a whole lot like over the last few years, but I definitely cherish the time that we had. And even talking to him when he was in the hospital was really nice.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Well.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, and for the people who were there during our weekly, nightly Jackbox games and the happy hour Monday happy hour crowd. This year was really tough for all of us, especially him, and it meant the world to him. It really kept him going this year with everything that was going on. All of us really, but really him. It was great to see. This year was, a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. Because usually we don't get to see, the Plano people, the Dallas people, and they don't get to see Dad very often, or play games or do anything like that. But this year, and like Christine said, she may not have seen Dad in person, but she saw more of him this year than she has in the last, 2 or 3 years combined.
10 combined, probably.
10 combined, probably.
He always says, "This is the greatest thing ever." Every time we got on our nightly video call, he'd say, "This is just the greatest thing ever."
Well, and Becky did a cool thing right as soon as COVID was hitting. She figured out that Google Hangouts would allow you to just set up like a open video room where no one has to initiate. It's drop in, drop out anytime. It just lives permanently. And so it was like a 24/7, video feed into everybody's homes. And so we shared that with, amongst ourselves and a few close friends. And it was just nice because, if I was having a quiet work day, I could sign on to the video chat, and Dad would pop on at 2:00 just to see who was on, say, hey, and all right, well, I'll be on later. What you guys doing later? And all right, see you later. And, it was almost just like, knocking on the door. We got to feel like we were all in the room together all the time, very casual. And it was fun because, a few of us would be playing games or doing something. And then, Dad would just pop in and we'd see him pop in and he'd be like, oh yeah, I don't want any part of this game, and he'd sign up. We're like, okay, bye, Dad. But
is this real life or is this a game?
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, and Dad always asked us if anyone knows about the Animal Crossing game. He'd say, are we talking about the game or are we talking about real life? What's going on? But yeah, he loved the video chat environment and getting to spend time with everybody. I think really was what he needed, during quarantine. And so, yeah, definitely didn't realize how much he really needed it. So, yeah.
Even if the majority of the time we were seeing him through the blue filter of an open group camera cover.
I didn't know that's what that was. I thought it was a sticky note, but Jesse said he found it on his desk, that it was a little open group kind of camera privacy cover. He had that on probably 50% of the time, because he'd say, "Oh, I haven't washed my hair. I don't want to go put a hat on." And we're like, "Dad, yeah, there you go, Mike." Exactly that. I'm like, "Dad, we don't care if you haven't. I haven't washed my hair either. Like, Dad, we just want to see you. We don't care. I don't want to talk to this big blue blob, But it felt like Star Trek or something half the time that we were talking to him, because he was just like this bright, blue blob that would come up on the screen, and he would cast everything in the room blue at night when he would talk. So I was actually going through to find some of the videos. I took a few videos of our video chat game nights, and I almost couldn't find any where he wasn't just the big glowing blue screen.
I have a couple. I have some good ones of him.
Do you?
Another thing, the last time I saw him on the video chat, his background, like he changed the background. It wasn't like, it was like an app or something that he changed the background, and he was showing me there were actually pictures on his phone, and there were all kinds of pictures of all his travels. And so I just saw him behind like all these like this hot spring and like this like little town. It was so cool. I always loved to see what his new filter was, or that was cool.
Yeah, Mike, I just read your message in the chat. Yeah, you're right. I think he would have loved this, except for the attention. He really hated attention. For someone who loved to sing and play guitar and travel and have all of the stories, I mean, he didn't want anyone to fuss over him, ever. So you're right, he would hate the attention, but he has to get over it.
I could go on forever with stories, but his big monitor that you showed, I'm looking up at my new 35-inch monitor, which he talked me into getting a bigger one because he had done it. And if you look behind me, this is the exact gaming chair I believe he has, because about a year and a half ago, I was complaining about my back and the amount of time I spend sitting. He said, "Oh, I'll send you a link to the one you need to get." And so I just followed his lead on all my technology upgrades, but I'd never catch up to him because I'm not quite the techie he was.
Well, most of those were my recommendations to him. His chair, his desk, his headphones, his monitor, especially that chair, because he was using this old IKEA chair that he had taken the arms off of forever ago. And I kept telling him, you need to you spend so long at your desk. Huh?
So I owe you, Jesse, the thanks, because you've saved my back.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Well, thank you, everyone. You're right. I think we could go on with lots and lots of stories, and I would love to hear them sometime. And so I am open to future calls and happy hours with you guys. I would love to meet everybody at some point, and just appreciate you all being here and supporting us during this just heartbreaking time. And I know it's heartbreaking for you guys too. And just love you guys and thank you for being here. So
thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was a lovely tribute.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.